Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. It's Katan. I'm the founder of BossBabeBlog.com. And today I'm just talking about the importance of how you can get above, the importance of accountability, but also how you can get above average results in business. So, a lot of times, entrepreneurs that I've seen that have been struggling in certain areas are feeling like they're not seeing the results that they want to see. And the first $0 to $10,000 in sales that you do in your business, you're going to have to, I would say about 80% of that is going to be mindset. Now, that's not to say that you don't have to have a strong mindset after you make your first $10,000, because your mindset's going to have to get even stronger and grow, because you're going to face different challenges as you grow more profit in your business. But for the first $0 to $10,000 in sales, you definitely have to have a strong mindset, and you have to want it. You have to be hungry. Um, and I say that because during the time when your business is not doing its best, or when you just haven't got any sales yet, is when you're going to have to try your hardest to keep your mindset, above water, while also producing the results you need to produce for your business, as far as like the things that need to get done, the growth that needs to happen, the networking, the selling. You have to keep doing that with a positive mindset and still believe in yourself, even when your sales aren't reflecting that, you know, you're succeeding, quote unquote. But if you want to have better results, above average results in business, you have to put in above average work. It's the, I guess, secret sauce that no one really wants to hear. It's a secret slash not so secret advice and recipe, because all the time people say, oh, well, if you want to get sales, all you got to do is this, this, and that. Or, I have a special way of doing this, a special way of doing that. But at the root of every single one of those tips is something very important that we have to acknowledge. And that is that you must execute it, unless you are hiring someone to execute it for you. But in many cases, when you're starting out in your first $0 to $10,000 of sales, if you don't have funding yet, then you're probably doing it yourself. So, at the root and core of all of those tips that people are giving you about your business and how you can grow and how you can gain sales and what tips work for you and what you learn about what can work for you, the root is execution. So if you want above average results, you need to execute faster. Don't take so long to get things done once you learn that there's a better way, or that there might be something new that you can try to do to grow your business. And then the second thing is understanding that you are the magic secret or the magic sauce. You're the catalyst for your business. So if you want to see more sales, go get them. If you want to see more growth, make it happen. If you feel like there needs to be more of a dialogue around certain topics in your business, start talking about them. If you feel like people need to know more about you, go make sure they know more about you. Introduce yourself to new people, get inside of new rooms. But we have to get out of the space of thinking that, someone's going to come and save us, because that translates into business and it's not going to happen. You might have people who can help you, who can put their hand out and assist you, but they can only do so much, because at the end of the day, the decisions are based upon your actions and what you decide to do. So, if you want better results, if you want above average results, you got to do above average work. If you know that you work on your business 2 hours out of the week and you're not seeing the sales that you want, you're not seeing growth, you might need to start working on your business 4 hours out of the week or 5 hours out of the week. That's not to say that the more hours you work is going to equate to the more sales you see, because if you're not being productive in those hours, then no, that may not be the case. But if you know that there's certain behaviors that you need to execute to see growth in your business, in your brand, you need to execute them faster, and you need to do them at a high quality. And you have to have a higher level of accountability. There cannot be anyone behind you telling you, hey, don't forget you have to do this, don't forget you have to do that. You have to hold yourself accountable for your own actions. And a lot of times I see where people want to be an entrepreneur, but they don't want that level of accountability attached to them. It comes with it. It's automatic. Once you own the business, it is now yours. So everything that you do as a CEO reflects back on your business. You want to see more sales, you're going to study how to gain more sales. You're going to get into classes. You're going to show up for those classes. You're going to be on time or early. You're going to ask questions. You're going to do all of those things when you want this. When you don't want it as much, you may not do those things. When you are serious about your brand, you're going to show up for yourself. So these are things that come with being an entrepreneur. And if you don't do them, you're not going to see that above average result, because you're doing things that are either average or below average. That's just what it feels. I mean, Think about it. You have so many people out here who are at the average line when it comes to performance, not as people, but like their performance. So if your performance is average, why would your results be anything less than average or anything more than average? They wouldn't. Excuse me. They're going to be exactly what you put out. And there's two factors of this. The first thing is you have to execute, you have to make it happen, but you also have to understand that it's not an instant gratification road. These things have to be built. So you might put out 100% effort and work and follow through, and you might only get 20% in the first 2 to 3 years, or in the first 2 to 3 months, or, it's different depending on the industry and your resources and how you go about it. But you may only get a certain amount back in the beginning, but you will start to see more of that coming back to you when you are consistent at putting out quality. So that was my case in the beginning. When I first started my business, I did see sales and stuff coming through. I did see the effort that I put into my brand coming through. Obviously, the economy was a little different, but I still saw it. So when I continued doing that and I continued being consistent for myself, there were moments where I only saw 10%, but I put in 100%, or I put in 200%, but I only saw 10% return. In those moments, I knew that I had a decision to continue to show up above average or to continue to start to slack a little bit because I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted. I chose to continue to show up above average. I chose to continue to show up for myself. I chose to continue to study, to hold myself accountable, to think about ways I could do things better for my brand, for my clients. I chose to do those things. And in choosing to do those things, I started to see that 10%, 20%, 30%, 100% coming back to me. So that's where opening up a notification and seeing that I have a $5,000 sale coming through my way, or a $7,000 sale coming through my way, came from me not stopping and me continuing to be consistent and be above average in my actions. And above average is everything. You need to be above average in the way that you talk about your brand. You need to be above average in the way that you talk about yourself. You can't be someone down in your brand or saying things that are passive aggressive about your own business and expect other people to be excited about your brand. That's below average behavior because a lot of people have negative self talk for themselves. That's average. You got to be above average. So when you talk about your brand, you need to be talking about all the wonderful things that you're providing, all the solutions that you have for people, all the ways that you service your community or serve your community. Um, Either or both. You need to be talking about, the wonderful things you have upcoming. You need to be talking about the hard work that you're putting in. You need to be talking about the people who have shopped with you and had great experiences. And if they haven't shopped with you yet, talk about the great connections you've made. But you need to be above average with how you talk about your business. Don't let me or someone else be the person to tell you, hey, think better, think higher of yourself. Don't put yourself down because you're not doing well. That's average behavior. So that's the first thing. How you show up for your business. You need to be showing up places. You can't say you're going to show up and then not show up. You can't be late. You can't expect people to wait for you. You can't have an entitlement and think that everything revolves around you. That doesn't work in business because nobody cares in business. In corporate 9 to 5, I'm not going to say people care, but I am going to say because there's this corporate blanket sometimes, because I worked in corporate 9 to 5 culture, um, sometimes you don't see that harshness of leadership because they're not always empowering people to be leaders. They empower you to be workers. And there's nothing wrong with being a worker, but I think that there's a balance. I think you should know how to play a position as a worker and a team member. And you should also know how to lead and be a leader. Because when we have a team full of leaders, we all lead in different ways. And that makes a strong team. That's my opinion. But I'm saying this to say when you were in 9 to 5, if things weren't going well, it wasn't on you. When it's not on you, it doesn't matter as much or it doesn't affect you as much, even when you're trying to contribute to it. But when you're working as an entrepreneur, everything's on you. So you can't, point to the next person. You can't say, oh, they didn't do it, or the reason why I didn't do this is because of that. It's all on you. And when your clients are working with you, when you're working with professionals, when you're doing collaborations, when you're doing partnerships, people don't care. They don't care about any of that. They may care about you, but they don't care about the excuses. They don't care about the reasons for why you weren't able to follow through. They don't care about you not being about what you say you're about. That doesn't matter. What they're looking for are solutions. So you have to choose to either be the solution for a person or not to be the solution. And it's okay if you're not the solution for a person, because you are not meant for everybody and your solutions aren't meant for everybody. But when you choose to step into a place, when you choose to commit to something, when you choose to say, I'm going to do this, you need to follow through, and you can't be looking for a scapegoat as to why you didn't when it doesn't happen. You have to have the accountability to say, you know what? I chose to do that. I didn't follow through. I got to step up for myself. Accountability doesn't mean that you have to publicly shame yourself. Accountability doesn't mean that every conversation needs to be a group conversation. That's not what it means. It simply means acknowledging where you contributed to the growth or to the setback in your own dreams and your own business, and sometimes even in your own life. So you have to have above average accountability. I see people who are wanting above average results that have below average accountability levels. I've seen people who say they want sales and growth for their brand, but then the moment that they get an opportunity to blame somebody else for their actions, they are excited to do that. I see people who say they want success and positivity, and the moment they get an opportunity to blame someone else or try to be negative about what someone else is doing, they take that opportunity instead of taking it as an opportunity to grow internally. So I've seen that. I've also seen people who say they want less drama in their lives and they want to be positive and they want to spread positivity. And the moment that they get an opportunity to be messy, they take that opportunity. And so how you act contributes to your results. If you are acting average in areas of your life and your business, you're going to get average results or below average results. If you're acting above average and you are being consistent at being above average, that those results are going to come. They may not come today, they may not come tomorrow, they may not come when you feel like they should come, but they are going to come if you stay consistent. And depending on what the results are that you're seeking, they could come earlier. If you have a plan in place and you are measuring your growth and you are consistently making things happen for yourself. But a lot of the issues with why people are not seeing that growth is because they are acting, or their actions are average. You can't have average actions and want above average results. That's just not, that's not realistic. And by doing that, they set themselves up for failure, and then they get discouraged and they don't give themselves a fair chance to grow. I was just talking about this in my selling mentorship class. I have people that I've talked to and I ask, well, how many hours do you work for your business? They're telling me they work about 1 to 4 hours a week for their business. So in total, less than 10 hours a month they work on their business. But then when they're telling me about their goals and what they're trying to achieve, they want to achieve $10,000 in sales. They want to achieve $20,000 in sales in this month. And they're not seeing those goals happen. I have not had a day where I work 10 hours. Maybe it will come with time, but you have to build up to that. You have to study up to that. Where I've worked less than 10 hours and made $20,000 in sales. It can happen. There are things out there you can do, but research is required. Follow through is required. Practice and applying what you learn is required. That doesn't just come to you in your lap. So by only working less than 8 to 10 hours a month, but then expecting that you're going to gain $10,000 to $20,000 in sales when you're still trying to get to your first $1,000 in sales, you're not setting yourself up for realistic growth in your business, and you're already putting yourself in a bad mind space, because when you don't follow through or you're unable to reach goals consistently, you train your brain not to trust you a little bit. So we have to create goals that are realistic, that we know we can reach. But most importantly, we have to follow through with the execution to those goals. Because if we're not following through with the execution to the smaller goals, how are we expecting to follow through with the execution to the larger goals? And oftentimes people say things like, oh, I just need sales. I just need sales. But when 100 sales walk up to your business and say, hey, I'm ready to buy, are you actually going to be ready for 100 sales? Or are you going to be scrambling because you don't have any structure? You haven't thought about your policies. You haven't thought about your way of doing things. You haven't thought about, what you're going to provide, what services, what you're not providing, what the right fit is for you. Have you done all of those things? So instead of focusing on what you don't have, focus on prepping and preparing for what you are going to have if you stay consistent. And that is my key. There's no secret sauce. You are the catalyst. Whatever you want done, get up and go do it. And if you feel like it's something you don't know how to do, go study it or hire someone to teach you how to do it. If you don't have the funding status to do that, or you're not at that funding status to hire, just focus on studying and learning to do it yourself. But perfect example, this morning I am taking notes and I am doing classes myself, continuing my own education. So you have to have that level of grit. You have to have that level of accountability. And when you see that level of accountability and grit, you will see a higher success rate in things that you do. And you also see a higher return on investment. So we got to work on that. And our mindset, it also starts with our mindset. But you can't say you want to be a leader or entrepreneur and not be accountability focused or mindset focused or action and execution focused, because you're going to set yourself back in ways that if you had focus on those things, you probably could be a little bit further or see better results or be closer to the calling that made you want to be an entrepreneur to begin with. So that is my advice to anyone out there that's struggling and wants above average results. It's going to start with the mindset and it's going to move into your execution and studying the right information, but most importantly, applying the right information. So thanks for watching. I will be back because we're going to talk about how to set boundaries in your personal and professional life without hostility and without anger. Bye bye.